An advice that a lot of people give is to break walls, right? Open the map.
Breaking walls can completely change the map, which also changes the strategy for that map.
You should always know what walls to break in a given match.
But I'm always confused about what walls you should actually break or keep, or whether it's worth wasting a super, or what stage of the game I should break those walls. So, to clear up my own confusion, I have analyzed dozens of official esports games to figure out 1. How often each wall is broken in each map, and 2. When each wall should be broken within a game. Because as usual, we are compensating our terrible gameplay skills using data. So let's use Hard Rock Mine as an example to how this works. Each section of grass or wall is assigned a number, and I have watched dozens of games from monthly finals and Brawl Cup, noting down when each wall is broken by each team and the time that it happens. Using those data, I have created a frequency score, which measures the number of times the wall is broken in a game, and a priority score, which measures the average time that has passed when that wall is broken. Both scores go from 0 to 10. So a high priority score would be like the wall being broken on average 30 seconds after the game starts. That is pretty quick. So for example, Grass 109 in Hard Rock Mine has by far the highest frequency score of 10 out of 10. So this grass is broken more than half of all the matches that I have analyzed. Now, and that even counts matches where there are just no wall breakers. And that makes total sense because you want to stop the enemy from like maneuvering left and right here without being seen. So Grass 108 also has a great frequency score for the same reason. 109 also has a good priority score, but it's not too high because it's hard to break walls on the enemy side immediately, right? You gotta get the area control in the center to be able to reach that area in the first place. On the other hand, you have walls like number 7 and 21, which have a decent frequency score because it gives your team a lot more space to move around here without being pinched in this narrow little section, but its priority score is really high because a lot of griffs would tend to gadget here right after the match begins. So that's like within 10 seconds of the match starting. Now this is a quadrant graph that gives an overall idea on what these scores could mean, but just take the walls with low frequency score a grain of salt here because those are also the walls that I have the least data on, right? The final wall that I think is interesting in Hard Rock Mine is wall 1 and grass 2. You can see Stu's breaking this with a gadget a lot, or Ruff's breaking it with a super to get a better line into the enemy grass so they have more area to maneuver and like pinch the enemy. But it's important to say that there are a lot of wall breaks, especially in the lower frequency scores, that aren't broken for any reason. They are just collateral damage in some super or gadget meant to like kill the enemy instead of breaking the walls. Editor Shiu is probably showing a lot of instances of that. That is why you will only see stats on walls that have a frequency score higher than 3. Now that you know how this works, let's check out Last Stop. The highest frequency score here is grass number 9, which doesn't really make sense, right? Because the reason for almost all of these wall breaks is just because they're using a super and you're standing close to that patch of grass. Because like that is where the mid lane would naturally find themselves to be located. Like a Piper supering to save herself, or a Jean who was using a super at that spot. They aren't doing that because they want to break the grass, obviously. The same goes for walls 10 and 11 and 12 in the same area. This is why you can't just take these stats with face value. You need some more context, which is what I'm giving you right now. If we go down, we see the more significant ones that make sense, like number 104 and 105, to stop the enemy from crawling up this right bush. These also have a low priority score though, because they usually only get broken when an enemy comes up here and gets confronted with that wall breaking super. The high priority walls are 109 and 110, broken by usually bow or amber supers. It's a nice way to damage the enemy because, as I said, that is where the mid lane tends to be located, right? But it also pushes them out of their safe spots and it gets rid of that safe spot permanently too. Even then, ignoring the fluke that is wall number 9, The highest frequency score here is 6, so that probably means that wall breaking or grass breaking is not a big part of this map. Okay, let's do double swoosh next. Grass num 104 and 105 had a 10 out of 10 frequency score, so that is definitely something that you want to break. So the enemies can't like pop out of there and just like collect some sneaky gems, right? That seems to happen a lot. 104 does have a higher priority score, but that's probably just because it's easier to reach than 105, right? Because it's closer to your side. So realistically, I'd say they have like the same priority in a natural match. The next ones are 106 and 107, which stop the enemies from crawling up the grass and destroys their protection. You can see that the stuff with high priority is all the grass from the enemy side. Now, grass is also being broken from our own side, but those have a really low priority score. Just look at grass number 5 or number 8, because those usually happen unintentionally, maybe during a countdown when you're trying to kill a gem carrier, that kind of thing. And this is a funny one. This one, number 3, literally only happens because Ambers would gadget there to charge their super, so it gets lit up at some point later in the game. Like, it literally means nothing. And the final gem grab map we have is Gem Fort. The highest frequency walls are these, but even then, they only have a frequency score of 7, like in Last Stop. So this doesn't seem to be a very wall break dependent map again. This group of walls and bushes is literally the only walls with a frequency score of 5 or above. Some of them are probably broken as collateral, but you can see like Stu's breaking walls 6 and 7 intentionally with a gadget, and walls 106 and 107. Sometimes they break the grass along with it, but I've seen some of them try to like avoid breaking the grass so they get more space to maneuver around. So I assume they do that because they don't want to get like spooked by a brawler crawling up the side bushes, and now Stu can dash away to the center through what used to be the wall. It's just funny to see that literally no walls outside the middle section had a priority score higher than 3, so just none of them are included here. Okay, this is taking a lot more effort than I expected, so unfortunately I'll stop here for now, and I'll continue with the rest of the maps if enough of you are interested in this. I will definitely finish the series if this gets like 50,000 views. I feel like that's kind of realistic, right? And I want to thank Stinky Steven for the inspiration. This is literally copied, ripped off from one of his videos. I just took it in a very different approach. I haven't watched his video because I don't want to steal even more ideas from him, but I'm sure he definitely didn't whip out an entire Excel spreadsheet with 2 weighted scores, that's for sure. So you can check out how he did it below, and hopefully I will see you in part 2.